It's the only podcast that broadcasts 438 miles between two cities, the grand old city of Lubbock and the small train depot of College Station, Texas. You're listening to the fifth quarter, a college sports podcast. Good morning, everybody. It is September the 25th. My name is George Koff once again. Alongside me is Desmond McLaughlin. Good morning, Desmond.
Good morning, George.
And welcome to episode 4. Can you believe this? We've been doing this for 4 weeks, and people have really liked the response. I think this is going to be good so far. What do you think?
I think so, George. I think it's going on a great path right now.
So I think, just like everything, let's get right into it. Let's talk about week 4 in college football. Let's talk about the Red Raiders going to Stillwater. They traveled. They definitely traveled, and I think the one word that I have is, first off, an apology, because I doubted, and we don't have a software to roll back the tape like if they say, podcast. But if we could, we would say that Desmond, you had said, watch out, that's my upset. Texas Tech's gonna go into Stillwater and just dominate, and instead. And I said, oh, sure, whatever. No, I was shocked. Wow. Big 41-17 win. What's your take on that? I'll chime in, but what did you see from the game?
Strive for order evermore. Long live the Matadors. George Koff, I told you that Texas Tech was going to win this game. I called it last week. I was feeling good. This freshman quarterback, Alan Bowman, came out of nowhere this year. I'm actually really disappointed in myself that in the beginning of the season I said I didn't like him. I didn't like the way he was throwing the ball. I didn't like the decisions he made. But 397 yards and 2 touchdowns this week, George, against a top 15 team. Maybe not deserving to be top 15, but still a top 15 team. And now, this week, ranked 25th, George. Top 25.
Hey, I just want to say that maybe 25 is a stretch, but you definitely are one of you. Definitely, I think we can agree. Oklahoma State, they were, I think, too highly ranked for this early in the season for sure.
George, let's let me live this 25. A&M dropped out this week, didn't they?
We did, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second, okay? Okay, so you know how I said last week, and I'm going directly from my notes. I said it'll be close at halftime. We'll see what Texas Tech can do as a second-half team. But Oklahoma State's air raid prone offense is going to burn the Red Raiders secondary. Okay, I was wrong. The Red Raiders offense, the secondary, was just dominant. Okay, this week, y'all play number 12, West Virginia. That's a top 25.
Will Grier, dude. Will Grier.
Okay, that's my, sorry, Desmond, my Heisman pick still. Will Grier is going to burn that secondary. I was a week early. I'm right on time this week.
I can see that. I mean, when you have a Heisman caliber quarterback like that, you never know what he can do to the defense.
It's going to be 42-35. Y'all keep it close till about 5 minutes left in the fourth. West Virginia scores 2 touchdowns in the last 5 minutes. Get it done. Sneak out of Lubbock with a win.
I just want to say, George, that I remember I said before that the rushing game is huge, especially in college football. And I just want to say that DeMarcus Felton came out with 130 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, which I believe really helped out them win this game.
Definitely. I think you're right. Rushing is a huge deal. And speaking of rushing, let's look at down in Tuscaloosa. A&M stopped the rush really well, and last week I actually predicted Texas Tech to lose 45-23. In fact, I was predicting the A&M score apparently because that was what the final score was, 45-23. A&M, number 22 team in the nation, lost to the top-ranked Tuscaloosa
and the best team in college football.
Agreed, Alabama Crimson Tide. But I think just watching it. We had a big watch party here in our dorm, and that was exciting because everyone gets around the Aggies, and you're watching it, and then, of course, the first pick on a bad throw that Mon shouldn't have. He should have just taken the sack instead. Alabama started off really strong. That next play, first offensive play for them, 25-yard touchdown by Tua, looked exactly like the national championship pass he had to win, last year.
Yeah.
The thing that I had mentioned last week was you can't have turnovers, and A&M had 2 turnovers. But even not just against Bama, against other teams too, turnovers kill you. And we have only won the turnover battle once this year, and that was against ULM. And that was because we only had 1 turnover. They had 1 turnover because it was a pick we got, and we had none. So 1-0. Our tight end Sternberger got the touchdown. Had a nice 99-yard scoring drive because they pinned us inside our own 1. Jalen Hurts came in. We were able to stop him, but you can't. Once Tua had done all the damage, I mean, that's about it. Game set match there for the Tide. And I just want to say this out here: if for anyone who's thinking about sports betting and gambling, I would put your money on the Aggies. We are 4-0 against the spread this season. That includes Northwestern State and ULM, in which we were favorites, but we covered still. And so that's a big consolation prize. It's nice to be able to say we're 4-0 in some category. But I think this week we will find 30 different ways to beat Arkansas. And I'm not joking when I say 30. I'm saying rush defense, passing yards, rushing touchdown, passing touchdowns, however many categories college football keeps track of. We're going to win in basically every category. I don't want to get too cocky, but and don't be surprised if A&M scores 40 to 45 points. So in my prediction, Farmers, they eat bacon, 41, and bacon, 13. So for those, in layman terms, A&M 41, Hogs 13. Your take? What do you got?
Well, George, I definitely agree. I just want to go back. Alabama is the best team in college football. I knew that they'd come out and they'd beat A&M. It was 31-13, I believe, at the halftime. So, it's pretty hard to cover, especially against a team like Alabama.
Correct.
And I liked how you talked about the turnovers because A&M had 2 while Alabama had 0. That's definitely a big aspect of the game. And they also allowed 500 yards throughout the game. And A&M's top receiver, not top receiver, but like the receiver with most yards, only had 59 that game.
It was Davis, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Davis. Yeah,
which is a big. You need a receiver to go out there and just eat up like how Texas Tech has Antoine Wesley, who just comes out and eats up. That's what you need.
But you also have to look at the fact that Mond was targeted Davis. I think it was like 8 times, something like that, and he caught 4 of them, 4 or 6, something along those lines. And Mond overthrew Davis crucially. Okay, there was the second pick that Mond threw in the end of basically the second half. Bama gets the pick, and then they get a field goal right before halftime. It was a bad overthrow, but Davis was there. Mon just overthrew it, and so you look at it as an Aggie fan saying, okay, he's open. That's great. That's great breaking away from the defender. Bama's secondary, Rover, was right there, catches the ball, of course, returns it for 20, 30 yards. Again, also with what's his name, Sternberger, he was dominant. He was breaking. He was getting out in front. And the problem is Mond, our offensive line, just could not stop Bama's big defensive line. We did it against Clemson, and I think it was strictly because we were able to step up here at home, and we were in front of the 12th man. And I think really home field advantage is a huge deal in college football. So I did like how Jimbo played until the very end. He called 2 timeouts in the last minute. Okay, he was trying to score. We were trying to make it 30 to 45. Get that margin a little bit smaller. Starkle fell on his back to end the game, he got tackled. But you know what? I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed we couldn't pull out the win, but like I said last week, I said Bama was probably going to get the win. It's just going to see how we can improve. And I know we're not supposed to be talking about moral victories here in College Station, but every positive you can get out of Alabama, like rushing yards and rush defense And punting. Okay, our punter is probably going to win the Ray Guy Award, which is the best punter, because he had a 60. This against Bama, he had a excuse me, 60.8 punting average. Okay, he's averaging 59 yards for the whole season for I think the 12 punts he's had. He's averaging 59 yards a punt. Tell me your punter can't do that. Yeah, I don't think so. So I think A&M's going to bounce back, get back on to winning ways, and then have a tough matchup with Kentucky in the following week. I think that is Kentucky's starting to scare some people are some people are talking about saying, don't overlook Kentucky. That's Benny Snell, and Mark Stoops has got his team ready to play. So when we get to that next week, we can talk about that next week. But just want to say a quick shout out. Thanks Kentucky for beating Mississippi State. Got me that upset watch win, so appreciate it. So top 25. Top 10 stayed about the same. I mean, there was a bit of a switch with LSU and OU.
Which I don't understand.
For what reason?
Why are they dropping Oklahoma? Why does everyone keep sleeping on them?
OU had to go to overtime to beat Army. You're telling me that doesn't deserve a drop?
No, George. They still won the game.
Excuse me? In college football,
LSU beat Louisiana Tech.
And they defeated them by 17 or whatever it was. Army is a very good team, and Oklahoma should have destroyed them by maybe 20, and instead they had to go to overtime and get an Army a fourth down, an interception on Army fourth down in overtime to pull out the win. Tell me that's not that. I definitely agree with the move. Maybe I'm pro SEC, but I think LSU is going to start to drop here. They're going to lose.
They will, George, and Oklahoma will be top 14 by the end of the season.
Oh, I think so too. But I'm saying right now, it's too early in the season to start really digress or start getting deep into the rankings. And but I think after number 11, everything started to just change. Looking at the top 25, we've got Kentucky entered the rankings. Miami went back up. Texas is back-ish. BYU moved up. Duke is in the rankings now. Okay, the last time that Duke and Kentucky were in the same football AP poll was 1957.
Dang.
Since that time, they have been in 538 AP basketball polls together. So the basketball schools are making an impression here in football. Duke, Kentucky, and Syracuse. All four of them are a combined 12-0, if you can believe that. And Mississippi State took that L, so they moved down. And can we talk about TCU for just a second? I feel like TCU will bounce back. And, I had said they were going to win the Big 12. I still think they might make a push. I don't think they're going to win. I think I'm with you. I think OU's going to win.
Mm-hmm. Or West Virginia.
Or West Virginia. But I think people are all of a sudden they're trashing on TCU strictly because they lost to Ohio State, which is a very good team, and then they lost to Texas, which it's hard to play at DKR in Austin. And I think TCU will win next week, get back against Iowa State. They'll get back in the rankings. Same thing with A&M. They'll beat Arkansas. They'll get back in the rankings. But the upset with Old Dominion over Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech's quarterback is now out indefinitely. Virginia Tech is going to start spiraling. They're out of the rankings already. They dropped from 13 to 5 to out of the rankings. So we'll get to see them spiral and see what happens. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Whoever was writing... Okay, I went back and looked. The Boston Globe, NBC Sports Boston, NESN, the New England Sports Network, whatever. All these articles were written about Boston College. oh, they're 3-0. Oh, this is the first time in 10 years. Woohoo! Did you not watch the 3 weeks and realize they beat Holy Cross? It was Holy Cross, Wake Forest by a touchdown, and some small university that was like, excuse me, of course they should be 3-0 because they've beaten not trash teams, but just no competition there. UMass was the other one. UMass, Holy Cross, and Wake Forest. And then they say, oh, they're going to go 7-0. And what do? They put up 13 against an 0-3 Purdue. I feel like that was kind of expected. Let's be honest. Purdue not getting a win, finally getting a win at home. I mean, it was going to come eventually. And to Boston College is just the irony about that situation. So we have a new segment this week. So for those of you that do watch The Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon will do a segment about thank you notes every so often. I think it's every Friday or every other Friday. So we're going to do our own thank you notes on the fifth quarter here. I'll go first. I'll say the first two I have. Desmond will say his two. And then because by coincidence, our number 3 for each one is the same, I'll say it and then we can talk about it. So the first one I have is I would like to say thank you, Old Dominion, for proving to everybody that Virginia Tech being ranked in the top 15 was crazy, unnecessary, and that 29-point underdogs and 29-point spreads don't matter. So, Old Dominion, the Monarchs out there, congrats on your big upset win. My second thank you, Baylor, for beating Kansas in the, quotes, laughingstock of the Big 12 Bowl. We can't believe we're valuing you better than Kansas, but don't get your hopes up, especially as you have to play OU this week. So, oh well. Desmond, what do you got for your first two thank yous?
All right, George. I'd like to say thank you to Seth Walder for tweeting out the stats and giving Texas Tech a 1% chance to make the playoffs this year. I'd like to say thank you for that. It gives us a little confidence. I'd also say thank you for Kentucky for proving how crazy all these ranking are by going from unranked to number 17 in 1 week.
Hey, sometimes that happens.
That is crazy, George.
I know. Good point. It is very crazy. But it's also Texas, same thing. They went from unranked to 18th. So.
Right. It's crazy.
And our final one, I'll say it, and then you can say what you had said, was thank you to the one AP voter that still believes after 4 weeks Clemson is better than Alabama because we are still apparently not unanimous about the best team in college football. Obviously that Clemson writer or that AP voter is either Clemson homer or did not watch the Clemson A&M game. Because after that game, even though I'm A&M and, I maybe am biased a little bit, I was not convinced Clemson was number 2 or even 1 for that matter. What was yours number 3? What was the way you phrased it?
George, I'd like to say thank you to all the AP voters for still having Clemson at number 3. Because apparently having one of the weakest schedules in all of college football means that you're a top 3 team.
Touche. Exactly. I mean, what is their strength of schedule? I think ESPN rated the strength of schedules, and out of 130 FBS schools, theirs is like 100 maybe, something like that.
It's crazy, George. It's crazy. LSU's football schedule was ranked, I think, like at top 3 or something like that, in the hardest, and they're just now in top 5.
Yeah, it took them how long? 4 weeks?
Yes.
They went from 25 to here. I got it right here. They went from 25 to 11 to 12 to 6 to 5.
But
Okay.
George, Clemson does play Syracuse this week, so I'm smelling something a little fishy here.
I do too. I do too. I'm not about to put Clemson on upset watch
No, no.
strictly because I think it's going to be like the A&M Bama game. Clemson probably will win, but Syracuse, it's going to make Clemson earn the victory. If you know what I mean. Last year people were doubting that Clemson was going to just roll through their schedule again. And then remember, Syracuse was the one team that gave Clemson that loss
Right.
before the playoff. And people were doubting Syracuse. They were like, oh, Syracuse is just going to put up 2 points, 3 points on Clemson. And then I think the final score was like 13, I want to say like 16-13 maybe, something like that. It was low scoring, but Clemson, with Kelly Bryant as their starter, was not able to win in the Carrier Dome in New York. But Clemson has named Trevor Lawrence their starter now, which could be a interesting change. But with that, we go to our big games, or what I'm calling 5 for 5 in 5. So 5 games for 5 takes in 5 minutes. We're just gonna throw that out there. Desmond's upset watch record since for the last few weeks is 1-2.
Texas Tech, baby. Texas Tech.
Correctly picking the Texas Tech upset, but incorrectly getting Oregon, and could not get TCU. So those two were the incorrect. That was Oregon losing to Stanford and TCU losing to Ohio State. I, on the other hand, am 2-1. I've correctly guessed the Kentucky upset over Mississippi State last week, the BYU upset over Wisconsin, but did not get the Washington or Utah. Utah did not win for me. They lost to Washington. So our first game this week, number 20 BYU at 11 Washington in Seattle. It's going to be a road test, a really good road test for BYU. See what they're really made of. What do you think, Desmond?
I think that Washington will win this, George.
Close?
Yes, definitely close. I forget, last week, did they have trouble winning?
Who, Washington?
Yes.
Yeah, didn't they put up, I don't know, like 20 points on your small school, Arizona State?
Yes. It was 27-20. Yes.
Okay, so that's close. I mean,
Yes.
even to Arizona State, who's, kind of every game's a dogfight for them. I think BYU's coming off a win against McNeese State, but okay, then again, that's McNeese State. 30-3 was the final.
Right.
So I still think don't be surprised if the Cougars somehow pull out a win. It won't be a huge upset because I really think sometimes Washington may be overrated.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going 31-28 Washington. So field goal, and I think it will be a late minute field goal that seals it for one of the teams.
Okay.
Now going into the next game, College Game Day game of the week. Number 4 Ohio State travels to Happy Valley to face number 9 Penn State, and the Nittany Lions still trying to get their. Ohio State's trying to get their first away win in Happy Valley since 2014. Last time these two teams played in Happy Valley, that was the blocked field goal. So it was 24-21 was the final by Penn State. They beat number 2 Ohio State at that time. Penn State's a home underdog. I think they're a 3-point underdog, something like that. There's going to be 100,000 fans. I'm calling upset alert, upset watch for me. And I know, Desmond, I think you have something similar, right?
Yes, but this is not my upset game of the week, George.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's not.
Oh. Okay, so I'll just be alone there. I'll take Penn State, watch them be the better team, and Buckeyes will have...
I do agree that Penn State will win this game.
Buckeyes will be a comeback, but the Nittany Lions will prevail 28-24. Our next game, the other top 10 matchup of this week, Stanford, number 7 Stanford, coming off that overtime win in Oregon, plays number 8 Notre Dame in South Bend. Two very storied football programs. Fighting Irish have kind of been, they beat Michigan. Michigan's looking good, but really they haven't played anybody else. They played Vanderbilt, but I mean, not enough. They played Ball State and then they played Wake Forest last week. Not enough to tell me what really a sense of who they are. And this is only the 8th time these two teams are ranked while playing. They're going to be ranked playing each other. Stanford has a late comeback. Notre Dame wins in double overtime. What's your take on that?
Double overtime, George?
Double overtime.
I think that Notre Dame will win this game. I think it'll be a close game. I'm calling a low-scoring game, too. Calling about 24-17, probably.
Okay. So then next, Ole Miss travels to Death Valley into Tiger Stadium to face number 5 LSU Tigers.
Right.
This is the Magnolia Bowl, is what they called it, because that's the rivalry game name for it. Ole Miss looks to change the fact that, it's in Death Valley, maybe an LSU win. They're looking for their first win in Death Valley since 2008, so it'd be a 10-year drought. But I think LSU's going to win big. I don't see.
I agree, George. I think this is going to beat down George.
I mean, we saw Ole Miss against Alabama, and they put a touchdown on the first play of the game, and nothing else after that. It might be very similar here. I think maybe first or second possession, they're going to put up a score, but LSU's just going to blow them out. I have 41-20, but I'm thinking closer to like 41, maybe 10.
Okay.
What about you?
I have like 38-10. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And our final number 5 or 5 for 5 and 5 tongue twister there is the Virginia Tech Hokies, who are no longer ranked, traveling to Tobacco Road and to Durham to face the number 22 ranked Duke Blue Devils. Virginia Tech looks to bounce back after the Old Dominion upset, and the rarely 4-0 Duke Blue Devils are going to be ready to play. I think Duke is going to go 5-0, headed into their bye week. They get to relax, enjoy that 5-0 status before they go into their bulk of ACC play. What do you got?
I agree, George. As you said, Virginia Tech is spiraling out of control, and I definitely see Duke winning this game. They definitely go 5-0.
So we're after 5 for 5 for 5, and Desmond, you still haven't made an upset watch pick. So I'm curious, who do you got?
George, I've had change of heart in the last 10 minutes, George. I'm feeling very spontaneous. 2 weeks in a row, baby. I'm calling Texas Tech over West Virginia. Let's go.
Again?
Let's get it, George.
Being a homer again?
Yes, George. I am feeling this, George.
So what do you think? Do you think it's going to be close? Do you think it's going to be something that's
Yes, I definitely think it will be close. But I've been down them way too much, George. I have a good feeling about this game.
So can you give me a score prediction, or are you just saying it's going to be close?
Oof. I think it will be about 38-35. I think it'll be down to like a field goal or maybe a last 2-minute touchdown. And it'll be home, so I'll be able to go watch the game too.
Oh yes, you can get good seats. Hopefully.
Yes. We will see next week, George. And if they win, I will play our fight song and do it on live air.
Okay. How about this? You know what? I'm a betting man because I'm 0-1 in my bets so far on this fifth quarter podcast show. So here's what I'm gonna do. If West Virginia wins, because they will win, and Texas Tech is going to lose.
Okay.
If West Virginia wins, I get to play Country Roads. Okay, Take Me Home Country Roads, because that's their little song. I get to play that for the first 10 minutes of the show on loop.
That's fine with me, George. That's fine with me.
Okay. And otherwise, we get to hear the Texas Tech something Matadors, all alma mater, whatever. So, those of you, I'm going to post, if you haven't looked at our Instagram, I'll probably post this on our YouTube, but I am currently wearing the North Texas shirt that I purchased because North Texas beat Arkansas, and I said I'd wear it on a podcast. Well, I changed that bet. Well, not changed, but I exclusively continued the bet because there was somebody that was like, that's not good because your podcast, it's only audio, no one's going to see your video. So I'm like, fine, you know what? if it does happen, I'm gonna wear it to the next Texas Aggie football game. Arkansas lost, North Texas won, so I get to wear my shirt to the Kentucky A&M game, which is a night game, so hopefully it'll be cooler. And I'm gonna wear A&M stuff over it, so you'll only be able to see the sleeves. Yeah. So speaking of North Texas, they're 4-0 for the first time since 1966. They defeated Liberty 47-7. No surprise. They go back home to face Louisiana Tech in their Conference USA opener. Possibly go to 5-0 and get ranked. People are overlooking this North Texas team, which is still the only undefeated team left in the state of Texas. So just a heads up, they have scored in every single quarter of play, outscoring opponents 195-63. They are a good team defensively, and special teams. Just going to leave it at that, and go Mean Green. 5-0 is looking pretty nice. What about you, Desmond?
Well, George, I know I chose Arizona State very early this season, and I know they're probably not going to be ranked or anything, or they actually might be ranked by the end of the season, but I know they don't have any chances to make a good bowl game. But I still like this team, George. Early season they beat Michigan State 16-13. Had a loss against San Diego State, loss that they shouldn't have had. And then last week they played Washington, a pretty good team, and only lost by a touchdown. So they're not doing too bad, George. You can't say their season's destroyed, but it's definitely not as good as I expected it to be.
Granted, good. I see that.
And then they try to play Oregon State next week, so that would be another win.
That'll put them to 3-2. So don't worry, they're 2-2, just like us, and just like.
But looking at their schedule, George, they still have to play Colorado, Stanford, USC, Oregon, Utah. They still have a lot of hard.
I don't know why you chose Arizona State to begin with. I'm sorry, but I don't know why you chose. Yeah,
that might have been an impulsive move, George.
Well, you know what? You know what? I'll give you a mulligan. So next week, if they somehow lose to Oregon State, or you're just not feeling the hype anymore, I'll give you a mulligan. You can go find another small school.
Thank you, George. Thank you.
As long as it's not UCF, okay? Because if they claim that they're going to be national champions again, I will literally lose my mind, because last time I checked, the team that's a national champion has to go through the college football playoff and beat Bama. If it's not Bama,
right?
That's just. I'm going to leave it at that. And don't forget, folks, as we enter our October set of episodes in October, we are going to start having some guests. Desmond and I would love to hear your opinion and love to hear what you have to say. We'd probably maybe get an interview or do some picks with you. You can be any affiliation of schools. We don't mind Longhorns or other Texas Tech Red Raiders. Send us an email at the5qpodcast@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. You can find Desmond and I on Facebook and private message us if you really want to get on the show. We'd love to have you, and we'll find a way to do it. I mean, we won't make the podcasts longer than 35 minutes, because that's what seems like is working. So yeah, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram, which is at the 5Q Podcast, just like our email. And signing off for the fifth quarter, I'm George Koff, and for my colleague in Lubbock, Desmond McLaughlin. Thanks for tuning in. Desmond, take care of yourself.
You too, George.
And so long. Adios. See you next week.